Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being with us tonight. First, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Barbara Ringuette, here for development of the Neighborhood Council Budget Advocates. I'm from the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, Glenn Bailey. I am Budget Advocates co-chair this year. We have two co-chairs, and I'm from Region 3, Budget Advocate, which is Southwest Valley and Cedar Neighborhood Council, and I'm also Northridge East Neighborhood Council, which is Region 2.
Okay, next, I'd like to ask budget advocates, people who have been elected budget advocates, to introduce themselves with their neighborhood council. Adrian, would you like to start?
Adrian Fernandez, advocate for the Harbor area, and my neighborhood council is Central San Pedro Neighborhood Council.
Ah, okay. And Elaine, would you introduce yourself, please? Hello, Elaine. Alanis. Okay, let's move on. We'll get back to Elaine. Scott Wright, would you introduce? Oh, there's Elaine. Go ahead.
Hi, you guys. Sorry, I was trying to unmute my phone. My name is Elena Alanis. I'm the president for the Westlake North Neighborhood Council, and we are in the middle of the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott, would you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I'm Scott Wright. I'm on the Northridge South Neighborhood Council. I'm the treasurer, and I'm Region 2 Budget Advocate.
Great. Philip. Oh, no, Philip is not a budget advocate. Let me see. We have
Monique, and we have
Monique. There you are. Monique.
Well, hello there. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. I have a guest visiting with two very loud dogs, so hopefully that doesn't drive you crazy. Little yappy, little cute, little Pomeranian little dogs. But Maltese, sorry. Anyhow, I'm with Pico Neighborhood Council. I am the outreach chair and also a rep for a neighborhood in our area, and I am excited to be a budget advocate.
Great. Welcome.
Region 5, just for the record.
Thank you.
Lionel, I know you're here someplace. Lionel, would you like to introduce yourself?
I think he might have dropped off. So I think he dropped off, Barbara.
Oh,
he may be rejoining.
I'm here. Lionel, is Lionel here?
I think he dropped off.
Oh, he dropped off. Oh, okay, I thought you were saying I did. Are there any additional budget advocates here right now?
Yes, this is Roxanne Bocskai. I am a chair of land use in Chatsworth and also the budget advocate, one of the budget advocate.
No, you're a budget representative.
Okay.
Every neighborhood council has two budget representatives. You're one of the two.
Yes.
Yes, welcome. Teresa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, Teresa Torrance, and I am with the Neighborhood Council of Westchester Playa.
Great. Dean.
I'm Dean Matthew. I'm part of the NC for Woodland Hills, and I'm really here just to learn. So, and be part of the advocates.
Great. Jeff, would you like to introduce yourself? Jeff Diamond, are you there? Oh, let's move on to Kristen.
I am here. I'm sorry, I had to unmute myself. Right. I'm here at Northridge West Council, and this is my first meeting on this subject. I did go to the budget discussion down at the City Hall, and that was really interesting. And that was so it's all a learning experience for me.
Thank you, Kristen.
Hello, Barbara. Hello, Glenn. My good friend Glenn. Kristen Schubert. I am the president of Chatsworth Neighborhood Council, and I know so very little on this subject that I wanted to learn more.
Well, thank you for coming. Let's see, we have Tanya. Tanya Ramon?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me? Yeah, hi everyone. Good afternoon. I am from the Wilshire Center Koreatown Neighborhood Council, and I have yet to be appointed as a budget representative, but I'm here to learn more. Thank
Great.
you.
Great. We hope you like us and you'll become a budget rep and who knows, maybe a budget advocate. Charlotte?
That's what I'm shooting for. Thanks, Barbara.
Charlene?
Okay, is it you want me, Charlene? Is there a Charlene? Okay, I must be the only one. Okay, my name is Charlene Moyer. I'm on the board of Zapata King Neighborhood Council, and I'm plum chair, and then I'm also involved with NCSA on the Transportation Committee. But I am doing this to learn about budget advocacy as well. So
Great.
here to learn. Thank you so much.
Okay. I'm not sure I'm saying it right. Terry Anglin?
Yes, ma'am, it's Terry Anglin. And I'm with Historic Cultural North. I'm the liaison, that's District 6, and I'm the homeless list liaison. I'm brand new. I won't be installed until Monday, but I want to learn.
Yes, we hope you like us and become a budget rep and a budget advocate. Who knows? So, Philip, go ahead. Philip Armstrong? Okay.
Hi, Philip. Yeah, I'm Philip Armstrong with the Rampart Village Neighborhood Council, and I've been working on the white paper for the last 2 years, but I'm not a budget rep or a budget advocate.
Thank you. Kathy Schreiner.
Hi, I'm Kathy Schreiner. I'm president of the Van Nuys Neighborhood Council. I unfortunately don't have time to be a budget advocate, but I have appreciated being able to join some of the departmental discussions.
Great. James. James K. O'Connell.
Hi, everyone. My name is James O'Connell. I'm newly elected to the North Hollywood Neighborhood Council and was selected as a budget representative. Looking forward to working with all of you.
Great. Bill Chin. Bill Chin. Mr. Chin. Okay, we can come back.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Bill Chen. I'm with HCNNC, and I want to learn why there's so much bureaucracy in this city.
Okay, we can help you out on that. Russell Mahmoud Jewel.
Hi, I'm Russell Mahmoud Jewel. I'm newly elected to Wilshire Koreatown Neighborhood Council with Tanya Ramon. So I just wanted to learn. That's why I'm here. Thank you.
Oh, welcome. Sean, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
My name is Sean Sangalaji, and I'm from the Chatsworth Neighborhood Council, and I'm a budget advocate rep.
Okay. And call-in user 1, go ahead. Call-in user 1. Are you there? Okay, let us know when you're there. Did I miss anyone? I am going to ask each of you to put in the chat your name and your neighborhood council, so we will know precisely who you are and we won't forget. So once again, welcome. We're glad you're here. And we set up this meeting especially for those budget advocates who have been elected during the last year. And in addition, for interested budget representatives and others, those on the neighborhood council and some who are not on a neighborhood council. We welcome budget representatives and others to work alongside budget advocates throughout the year. You are welcome to attend budget advocate meetings on the first Monday evening of each month and on the third Saturday morning of the month. Agendas are posted on our website, and the website is www.budgetadvocates.org. Easy to remember. If I haven't introduced you and you just joined, please interrupt me now and let us know you're here. Please speak now. Okay. A bit about budget advocates. Budget advocates support the neighborhood councils, providing a forum in which to make recommendations to the city regarding the city budget. Our goals are to first improve city services and second, advocate for transparency in the city's budget process. Budget Advocates' major project is the annual white paper. You can find many years of the white paper on the Budget Advocates website under the Documents tab. You will meet with departments and produce a draft report, which will become a part of the next Budget Advocates white paper, provided you sign up when the opportunity arises, which should be after the 1st of August, that you can sign up for meeting with a department or a city bureau. Budget advocates, in addition, produce an annual budget day, generally at City Hall, where elected officials and department heads discuss the budget in council chambers. Following the plenary session in chambers, neighborhood councils meet to outline concerns in their respective regions. These concerns become part of the discussion at meetings with the departments and bureaus. It's a privilege to meet with the city's top managers, a unique opportunity for unprecedented access to city managers and to bring the concerns of our neighborhoods to the attention of the departments and bureaus. We have a couple of guidelines for this session of education coaching. You've introduced yourself, but I'm going to stop for just a minute and ask anyone who hasn't introduced himself or herself to speak up now. Is there anyone who just chimed in?
I don't think anyone's joined since then.
Okay. Also, I'm inviting budget advocates to, during the meeting, give us one sentence only, a quick one sentence, to comment on what has just been discussed. We'll recognize you, and your comments will inform and encourage, maybe even entertain, our new advocates and representatives, everyone here too. Newer elected budget advocates, representatives, and all, we want you to have what you need to hit the ground running if you join us in meetings with the departments. Most of what we what you need to know is included in our education coaching sessions. We will show you where to find information on departments and guide you to be effective right away in your first meeting with the department. Please understand your first efforts may not be perfect, and that's fine. They'll become, perhaps you'll feel better about them later on as you hopefully join yet another year of budget advocate work and meeting with departments. What is the city budget? Why is it important? The budget assigns dollars to what the city will do with its revenues. How the government allocates its revenues is the clearest explanation of what the government values. And this is true at every level of government. The priorities of government entities are reflected in their budgets, starting with neighborhood councils. The budget is dynamic. It is more than where the money gets spent. The budget also involves projected revenues, fees the city charges for services it provides, timing expenses to be sure the city does not get ahead of its revenues. Adjustments are made throughout the year. There's long-range planning that the city could do even more of. And we need to be discussing throughout the year where the revenues come from, if those revenues are meeting expectations, and if not, what needs to be done. And if they are above expectations, what could possibly be added to the budget? What are the special challenges of this year's city's budget? For this year, where city resources are severely limited, we want to emphasize recommendations that the departments could actually implement, such as tracking new metrics or focusing in on particular existing services. In other words, things the department may actually be able to do with a limited budget. This is because the city has barely been able to add anything to budgets for several years, let alone increase services the departments provide. Should our recommendations require additional funding, we should prioritize these for city officials and city managers, because really not many additional funds will be available to provide additional services. Glenn, this is where you get to tell us about the history of budget advocates.
Okay, thank you, Barbara. Okay, so good evening. As I said, my name is Glenn Bailey. I'm co-chair of the Budget Advocates this year. And the history of the Budget Advocates goes back pretty much to when neighborhood councils were first being certified. After the charter was approved in 1999, and a few years later in 2001, 2002, the neighborhood councils started fast and furious, were being certified by the city. And just before that, the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment was created under that new charter. And so at that time, the mayor was Mayor James Hahn, who served from 2001 to 2005. And so he had the responsibility to implement the charter, this new charter and this new neighborhood council system, because there was a couple sections in the city charter that relate to the budget and neighborhood council. So section 909, and we can provide this in the follow-up communications to you all. Section 909 of the city charter says annual city budget priorities. Each neighborhood council may present to the mayor and council an annual list of priorities for the city budget. The mayor shall inform certified neighborhood councils of the deadline for submission so that the input may be considered in a timely fashion. So in 2003, to just kind of implement this, even though it says the individual neighborhood councils, the first mayor who had to deal with this provided in 2003 a message to the neighborhood councils to promote public input into the Los Angeles budget process. Mayor Hahn has asked neighborhood councils to conduct a survey of the community's spending priorities. And the process then also expanded a little bit in terms of having a budget day. At that time, it was the mayor's budget day, And that was a session for the representatives of each of the neighborhood councils at the Congress of Neighborhoods, which is now the annual event held in September. It was held in October 2004, and it was known as the mayor's budget process. An additional city charter section 910 states that the neighborhood council shall monitor the delivery of city services in their respective areas and have periodic meetings with responsible officials of city departments subject to their reasonable availability. So the Mayor Hahn and then Mayor Villaraigosa after him met with representatives of neighborhood councils in the early 2000s, typically in the mayor's office. These meetings were somewhat informal and they varied from year to year. The mayor, in trying to get this established, asked that the budget representatives, I know it's a bit confusing, budget advocates and budget representatives, and it's evolved over the years, but let's just say for the sake of consistency, it was budget advocates, were asked by the mayors to communicate with each of the neighborhood councils in their regions seeking information regarding more specific needs which may be addressed in this process via email on a regular basis, providing updates on the process and seeking additional comment. Now, again, that's 20 years ago. So fast forward to later in Mayor Villaraigosa's term, and then in Mayor Garcetti's term, the budget advocates evolved from that process to a more structured, formalized process towards the end of Mayor Villaraigosa's term, so that we were creating our own structure, our own bylaws, instead of just being send a representative from each neighborhood council. We did set up bylaws that set up a structure whereby using the 12 service regions that the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment has, which hopefully you're all familiar with. Every neighborhood council is in one of the 12 service regions. And we set up a process where there would be 3 individuals is budget advocates or an alternate. It is now 3 budget advocates per region. That then would be a more formalized group that would meet with the mayor and provide this input. I do want to make it very clear that this is in addition to the individual work of the neighborhood councils. You as a neighborhood council can agendize and vote on any matter dealing with the city's budget, the city services, and put forward recommendations directly to your council member and to the mayor and the city departments. Our role as budget advocates is to help, again, evolve from this process to help the mayor organize that, because I guess they just felt, dealing with 99 neighborhood councils, they just wanted to organize it a little bit. And but we're here to amplify and expand the neighborhood council's voice, and to a certain extent help expand it. You'll hear about that a little bit later in terms of the 40 plus city departments, etc. In those years, so the final few years of Mayor Villaraigosa's term, through 2013, we were staffed by the mayor's office. There was a mayor's staffer assigned to the budget advocates who met with us. We met in the mayor's offices in the mayor's press room on the 3rd floor of City Hall. And anything that was done in terms of the mayor's budget day, the survey was like the mayor's budget survey, that evolved at the end of that time period to the neighborhood council budget day and the neighborhood council budget survey. I don't know if we took it or it relinquished it, but it just may have been the staffing levels. And then about that time, the staffer who was assigned from the mayor's office was actually transferred into the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. So at that point in time, we then started meeting up on the 20th floor. This was about 2012 or so. We started meeting up in the 20th floor of City Hall because we were staffed then by Department of empowerment staffer. And that's when the full transition and our full bylaws, as kind of our structure as it exists now, came into place. And about that same time frame, the city council established an account for neighborhood council contributions to help pay for this now growing neighborhood council budget day, as well as for the Congress of Neighborhoods, so that neighborhood councils could contribute towards those expenses. And then that was later split into two different accounts. So the budget advocates, although it's called budget advocacy, but there's an opportunity to specifically designate neighborhood council money to neighborhood council budget day, which supports our annual event, which you'll hear about later for those that haven't already heard about it, and also the expenses related to our other work during the whole rest of the year. It's not just a one-day event. And again, that was also a transition from it being a one workshop as part of the Congress to now a full half day as far as the budget day. And that's held every year in June, generally, almost always. Sometimes we have to make some adjustments to maybe a month or two later, but we're planning on, it was June this year, and we're planning on June next year. And if Barbara wants me to talk about that in more detail later, I can, but I just want to let you know where that's kind of where that all fits in. Barbara will talk about our annual process of the budget advocates in terms of, where we are right now and what we're going to be doing between now and, next year's budget day. And I do want to make sure you're all aware I put into chat, our website is budgetadvocates.org. We try to post everything that's relevant in terms of any documents, any training such as this, any other recordings, etc., posted there on the website, and we certainly appreciate any suggestions you have for improving that. Lastly, just briefly on the structure, which I know we've touched on a little bit earlier. Currently, it is every neighborhood council appoints 2 budget representatives. They can be board members, they can be past board members, they can be stakeholders, just anyone that is approved by your board. They don't have a set term. It's really at the pleasure of your neighborhood council. You must notify us. So typically the president would communicate to the budget advocates, these are our 2 budget representatives. And if I misspoke, budget representatives are the 2 folks per neighborhood council. And here's their contact information so that we then put them on our notification list. And so each region, each of the 12 regions, then those 2 budget representatives from each of the neighbor councils in each region. And the regions are groupings of neighbor councils geographically. They amongst themselves elect who will be the budget advocates for that region. And there's 3 per region. So, and our terms are 2 years, and they are from even numbered year to even numbered year. So we're in the middle now of a 2-year term, and the budget advocates will be elected at budget day next in June of 2026. If we have a vacancy, we do have several vacancies now so if we do have vacancies, we do attempt to fill those in the interim. So we did fill some during budget day. We do have still some, and we would fill those by email. And just so you all know, because I know there's some neighborhood council presidents and treasurers here, if there are not 2 budget representatives appointed or present or available to participate in that election of the budget advocates, then by default, then the treasurer is the next runner, the next by default voter. They're not eligible to be a budget advocate, but they can vote for amongst the candidates. And then if both the budget reps are absent from a particular neighborhood council, it's the treasurer and then the president chair, so that all neighborhood councils are enfranchised to vote, but the only folks eligible to actually be nominated are budget representatives. So I say that because some of you are interested in being here tonight and generally interested in the city's budget and services. And just know if there's any vacancies, or even if there's not vacancies on your neighborhood council as far as budget reps, maybe there's one or two that are not very active, and you could certainly contact your neighborhood council to see about being named one of the two budget representatives. Just make sure if that happens that you let us know. Barbara, is there anything else that you want me to cover?
No, but thank you. And it's the org chart could come up now. We're going to take a look at the LA City organization chart so that you'll know a little about how city government functions. And I think that actually someone mentioned that in their introductions. I think that this kind of information is very valuable, not only because you may be meeting with a team with department managers, but also in other neighborhood council work and community work. I've found this information very valuable from time to time, along with the descriptions of the various departments, which will be posted very soon in the next few days. Glenn, do you have the org chart?
I'm working on it. Sorry, I thought it was open.
Okay.
Keep talking. I'll bring it up.
Well, we have several goals for this evening: to go over the org chart, to talk a little about the departments, and if you have questions, you can ask them, to become familiar with the resources that budget advocates use to prepare for meetings with departments, things like city budgets, where to find them, and departmental budgets, where to find them, and departmental rosters, the department's websites, where to find them, and budget advocates reports from prior years also are considered resources, or I consider them resources, and things that ought to be considered before you drop your talking points for your meetings. Those would include news reports. Some departments are very much in the news. Speaking with stakeholders who use department services about what may be needed or isn't needed, asking employees, what do you need to do the job effectively? And there are any number of places that you might get information that would be useful in meeting with departments. I see we have the org chart up. Let's take a look at the top of the chart. This was proposed in July of 2021, and that I know of, it hasn't really changed. The electorate is at the top because we elect 15 council members, one mayor, one city attorney, and one city controller. Their roles are all defined in the charter. Also defined in the charter are a whole bunch of offices: city legislative analysts, the CAO, who is the city administrative officer, the city clerk, the finance department, Office of Public Accountability, which works with the Department of Public well, you know who they work for. The fire department, which has a commission, the police department, which has a commission, the ethics commission, which is itself a commission. And then there are charter departments that have citizen commissions. Those are personnel, city planning, and neighborhood empowerment. There are ordinance departments. They're created by ordinance. They aren't in the substance of the city charter. And these are economic and workforce development, information technology, the employee relations board, general services, housing, aging, emergency management, youth development, and community investment for families. There are ordinance departments which do have citizen commissions, and those can you blow that up a little, Glenn? Can you blow up the chart? I will tell you where to find the chart. It's real simple. Go to lacity.gov, but if you go to lacity.org, it takes you to the same place, and search for org chart, and it will pop right up. Well, actually, it'll give a bunch of org charts, and you go down like 3, you scroll down like 3, and there you'll find the city org chart. So we got all the way to ordinance departments with citizen commissions. Those are building and safety, El Pueblo, cultural affairs, convention and tourism, transportation, zoo, animal services, disability, cannabis regulation, and I'm finding it hard to read, it's civil, human rights, and equity. Then there are independent charter departments headed by citizen commissions. In other words, what I'm trying to point out is that these departments were created under very different authorities. So there's LA World Airports, Harbor, and the Department of Water and Power. Those 3 are proprietary departments. They do not take funds from the city's general fund, like other departments do, at least in part. They have their own resources, like your semi-monthly Department of Water and Power bill. Also created by the charter and headed by citizen commissions are the library, recreation, and parks. Looks like, I'm not sure. City employment, I think that is. And fire and police pension system. State law departments are, there's only one of them. It's headed by a city commission, and that's the Housing Authority. We don't meet with them. They don't share funding from the general fund. But we know they exist, and that's where the Section 8 vouchers come from. Then there's the Board of Public Works. They're headed by a full-time commission. These are paid public works commissioners, the only ones who are paid. And they have 5 bureaus. It's contract administration, engineering, sanitation, street and street services. And those bureaus are very important to the services we receive. So we each of them. Any questions about city departments? I actually have a list of the city departments that shows their mission, their purpose, and the services they provide in a very succinct manner. And it will be posted on the website for the Neighborhood Council Budget Advocates. There currently are postings of this from the year 2022, and really there's very little change except the figures. The amount of their budgets, of course, have changed. Thank you, Glenn, for posting, for displaying the city org chart. We're going to move on. Another thing that the budget advocates do is to review and assess the concerns as expressed by budget advocates, neighborhood councils, and stakeholders, and bring those to the attention of city departments. We work to understand the intricacies of the city budget, how the city budget is developed, and budget policies. And we look to budget experts with the city administrative office to tell us about those things. We talk about the budget timeline, which we will do in just a moment, and where budget activities fit into it. Your participation can include, and we hope it will, joining a team meeting with department managers to understand and question the services the department provides. We like to focus on the larger departments, the ones with larger budgets supported by the city's general fund. In other words, we want to know where the money goes, and we want to have input into those services that the city provides. Your departmental team will make recommendations regarding the city and the department's revenues, their expenses, and matters that relate to the city budget and to the services the city provides. Beyond meetings with departments, you can help. You can support the work of the budget advocates. You may assist with outreach to the neighborhood councils, media postings, website updates, virtual town halls, and editing the white paper. In meetings with the managers of the city departments, we've already said you share the concerns of our neighborhoods. And actually, we offer to assist the departments as budget advocates and neighborhood councils in ways that they might identify, or perhaps you will identify in your meetings. We work as neutral observers. We don't take a position. We don't automatically support the department's budget, and that's very important to understand. We do not echo what the departments ask for. Rather, we come up with our own recommendations, which may or may not include some of those that the department is asking for. We like to have 3 to 6 recommendations, no more. Please, if you have just a few more than 6, we want you to have a separate heading for those, like as in a separate topic. In your recommendations section for the white paper, and we'll get to what the white paper looks like in a little bit. Our outreach activities include communicating regularly with the budget representatives and members of the neighborhood council governing boards, and you get to do that as budget representatives too. We engage with and solicit neighborhood council and stakeholder concerns and budget priorities. We develop resolutions, CISs, budget advocates with your neighborhood councils. We request donations from neighborhood councils toward budget advocate expenditures. The major expenditure, as Glenn said, is budget day at City Hall. We identify what your stakeholders believe the city's or department's priorities should be, what should be done more of, or perhaps less of, especially in this time of limited revenue, and what efficiencies may be implemented. We share regional and neighborhood concerns and priorities with those teams. I guess we said it before, I deserve saying again. We reach out to neighborhood councils, we post on media sites and our own website, and we conduct town halls periodically to reach neighborhood councils and stakeholders on items of interest to them, such as the budget for the neighborhood empowerment department. We get involved with essential budget advocates committees, and you can too, including committees focused on specific issues like the Olympics and immigration. When we send out our sign up for meetings with the departments and bureaus, we also offer the opportunity to sign up for a few committees, not many, we don't have many committees, but a few. We do budget advocate work, and we invite you to do it with us. We talked about outreach, posting on social media, writing reports, editing our neighborhood council budget advocates departmental reports, and publishing the white paper. We encourage budget reps and others to work alongside budget advocates throughout the year on a specific task, or just essentially function as a budget advocate. The only thing that budget advocates do that only budget advocates can do is to vote on motions. Otherwise, you can comment on them, you can sway the voters. So there are lots of things you can do. Glenn, can you bring up the budget process papers?
Yes, give me a few seconds.
Okay. when Glenn posts or displays the budget process, the first page, I'm going to stop and ask you to read what it says. And it's kind of, shall we call it charterese, because it comes from the charter, but I'm going to summarize it for you in perhaps more understandable terms. So if you could, Glenn, move to the city's fiscal year is from July 1 through June 30th. In other words, bring it up so everyone might, oh, there it goes. And then that's almost the end, but Glenn will move it in a minute. So you can start your reading, and Glenn will move it when he thinks you've gotten to what's displayed. Okay, that's it, Glenn. Here's my summary. The mayor prepares a letter defining city objectives for the next fiscal year. The departments refer to the letter as they prepare their budget requests for the next fiscal year. This year's letter might say, reduce your total request by a percentage of last year's, consolidate programs, look for efficiencies, things like that. Mayor Bass works with the CAO, the City Administrative Officer, Matt Zabo, and each general manager reviewing the department's budget requests. The mayor prepares a proposed budget by April 20th. The Budget, Finance, and Innovation Committee of the City Council conducts hearings with the mayor's office, general managers, the CIO, and the chief legislative analyst. The committee develops recommendations which then go to the city council for a vote by June 1st. The mayor has 5 working days to approve or veto changes made by the city council. The city council then has 5 working days to sustain or override the mayor's changes by a 2/3 vote. The city thus adopts the budget for the next fiscal year. Glenn, if you want to move down to the next page. Okay, we have the budget calendar here. Note that the italics indicate budget advocate activities. Where there are no italics, that indicates city activities. And those city activities are mostly the mayor and the CAO and the Budget, Finance, and Innovation Committee. Some dates for budget advocates activities will be flexible. In June, as Glenn said, we produced a budget day at City Hall. We had elections to hold vacancies to fill a few vacant positions. And there are a few additional vacant positions, by the way, I think in regions 5, 6, 9, and 10. And attendees, and 8 as well. Attendees in breakout sessions discuss their concerns about city services and the budget. We're in we are still in July, and so we know that the budget advocates have begun education coaching sessions with this evening's session. Budget advocates then get to sign up for meetings with departments and bureaus. By the way, in those breakout sessions back at Budget Day, budget advocates listed their concerns. There were many flip charts that were filled with concerns, and these will be available to our teams meeting with departments so that those concerns could be addressed with department managers. Anyone have questions about what happened at Budget Day? How about budget elections? that Glenn talked about, budget advocate elections that is, or breakout sessions. Any questions?
I'll just say, as far as vacancies, we also have a vacancy in Region 3 and 4.
Oh, okay. So what happens is people resign, especially around the time of budget day, so their vacancies might be filled at budget day. In July, budget advocates are beginning the education coaching sessions. Tonight is the first of 3 sessions. Jacob Wexler from the Office of the City Administrator will cover how the city budget is developed. He graciously answers the difficult questions. The 3rd session is a continuation of tonight's session. It will go over details of finding information on a department, developing talking points for the team, meeting with a department, who does what. A special note, everyone present at a team meeting with the department takes notes, reviews them, adds to them, and submits them to the person writing the draft report. Preparations just before the team meeting are discussed, what to do during the team meeting, and just after the team meeting. Then there's writing the draft report, the all-important report. What goes in it, formatting the report, headings and style. And even though you may not be the person writing the draft report, it's important to know what's in it so that you know what questions to ask in your team meeting with the department. Also, we have sample sections from the previous budget advocate reports on departments and bureaus. Budget advocates sign up for meetings with the departments and bureaus beginning in a day or 2. And then in August, budget representatives and those working alongside budget advocates have the opportunity to sign up for meetings with departments and bureaus. And we will give an advisement that our expectation is that budget advocates sign up for at least 2 meetings, and that everyone look at the amount of time that they have to spend with budget advocates work, and perhaps limit those signups to those that they are certain they're going to have time to prepare for, do all the things that budget advocates do for those departmental meetings, actually meet and then follow up with your team on making recommendations and writing the report. Budget advocates will be continuing education and coaching sessions, as we said, in the month of August. Budget advocates set up meetings with departments to be held late September to early October. And budget, we do this early for the reason, well, several reasons, but the reason that it takes a while for the departments to clear their schedules and make certain that everyone that you on your team wants to meet with will be available to meet with you. That's one. The other is timeliness. These meetings are timed so that budget advocates might have the best opportunity to influence the mayor's priorities and to influence the department's budget requests. These meetings must follow the release of the published budget for the fiscal year 2025-26, however, which is in the middle of September. So like in August, you're going to be making appointments for meetings for mid to late September and early October. We want the meetings to all be within a few weeks for the reason that meetings that are conducted early and we don't have reports until late means that those early meetings, the results of them may be stale and inappropriate to recommend later on. A fine example would be meetings that occurred before the fires that occurred in Pacific Palisades had a different tone to them. than meetings that occurred after the fires in the Palisades, a whole different tone. So we want the same tone throughout, and we want early input so that the mayor and the Budget and Finance Committee, which has added innovation to their title, that they will be certain to take, and the departments will be certain to take our recommendations into account. In September, the Office of the City Administrator publishes the final budget documents for 2024, 2025. It's right in the middle of the month. The mayor releases budget policy letters to the departments in September. The city administrative officer releases budget instructions to the departments at about the same time. Budget advocates begin meetings with departments and prepare reports on meetings toward the middle to end of September. And we continue those in October. The mayor's office staff meet with departments in October to discuss potential budget proposals for their departments, of course. The budget advocates work to publish the annual white paper. We consolidate the reports. We do editing. We talk to the teams about their priorities. And also budget advocates are looking at the financial status reports, the FSRs, which are produced quarterly, the last quarter being the final budget report. And we are preparing reports for the neighborhood councils and sharing the work of our budget advocates on the white paper. In November, departments submit to the CAO their requests for capital and technology improvement expenditures. These include the huge expenditures for municipal facilities, the physical plant for each of the departments, and technology elements. The department budget requests, the formal requests, are due to the mayor's office and to the CAO in the month of November. Budget advocates meet with the mayor and the Budget, Finance, and Innovation Committee at different points in the budget process. Budget advocates discuss findings and recommendations with the CAO, mayor's office, and the Budget, Finance, and Innovation Committee. In December, budget advocates discussed the white paper with neighborhood councils. That could possibly happen in November as well. Budget advocates continue discussion of their findings and recommendations with the city entities. In February next year, Budget and Finance Committee hearings are held with departments, the mayor's office, and the CAO to discuss budget requests. Budget advocates discuss their findings and recommendations with those entities. In March, there's a deadline in the charter for the city controller to submit revenue estimates to the mayor with copies to the city council and the CAO. Budget advocates review revenue estimates, which of course could and will determine what's in the general fund to fund the activities of the various departments. In April, the mayor's office and the CAO finalized development of the proposed budget. On April 20th, the mayor submits the proposed budget to the city council. That could happen a bit before April 20th, but that's the deadline. Budget advocates review and analyze the budget in April, and city departments submit departmental budget letters. Those letters are very telling. And in fact, when you're preparing to meet with departments, you can look at the letters submitted for this fiscal year's budget to get clues about what you should be asking when you meet with the department managers. In April and in May, budget advocates are reviewing the department budget requests, and the Budget, Finance, and Innovation Committee of the City Council hold public hearings toward the end of April, the beginning of May, and make recommendations finally to the city council. Now, budget advocates have an opportunity to meet, to sit at the council table and meet with the Budget, Finance, and Innovation Committee and discuss our recommendations with them. The city council reviews and approves a final budget in May. At the charter deadline is June 1st for the city council to adopt the budget as proposed by the mayor or as modified by the city council. The mayor has 5 working days after receipt of the budget from the city council to review changes made and to approve or veto any items so changed. The city council has 5 working days after return of the budget from the mayor to consider any mayor's vetoes and may sustain or override each veto by a 2/3 vote. The budget is adopted after this process is completed. Also in June, we get to produce another budget day. In July of 2026, budget advocates continue to review financial status reports and other information in preparation for the upcoming fiscal year. Now, I must say that ordinarily Jack Humphreville, who is a true expert on the budget, would be here to address and answer your questions. I don't have the detail that Jack has, but I can take a stab at any questions you may have regarding the budget process. Are there any questions? Glenn, can you bring up the next page?
I will, but first, sorry, I can't raise my hand with that. Okay, so I wanted to add something, couple things. So the Budget and Finance Committee name, as Barbara indicated, had changed. They tacked on innovation under Councilmember Bloomfield's chairpersonship, but the new chairperson, Katie Yaroslavsky, took that away. So it's back to Budget and Finance. Just wanted to let everyone know it's the same committee. It just, it's slightly different name. Also, there's 5 members of the committee, and they include the chair and the vice chair and then 3 other members. And they're the ones, because of the process that Barbara went through, that have the initial important say and recommendations. That doesn't mean city council can't put forward amendments. They do that, but they have the major shaping of that. And just and in terms of and I know this will be covered during subsequent sessions, but just in terms of neighborhood councils, I just wanted to share that the opportunity for public comment in full city council is only one shot, one time, at least historically. It's usually like the 3rd week of May after Budget and Finance has finished its work and recommendations. And it's usually starting at 10 a.m., has to be in person. You get 1-2 minutes, and that's it. So it's not a heck of a lot better at Budget and Finance because I think there's like 2 opportunities. But at least there's an opportunity to try to communicate other than say like verbal comments, in that the 5 members of the city council committee, you can contact them directly, try to get their attention, especially if your neighborhood council is one of their constituent councils. Hopefully they're paying attention to you, maybe not so much the others. That has been a frequent experience. Like, they'll say, oh, this council is in our, part of our constituency. So that doesn't work citywide for everybody, but just know that at least there's some opportunities for influence there, and getting to know the staffer, the legislative deputy who's assigned to Budget and Finance, is very, very, very important. Whether your council member is a member of the Budget and Finance Committee or not, it's very important because that is their job, is to give recommendations to their boss, the council member. on the city budget. So
Thanks, Glenn. Teresa, you have a question.
I do. I did review the white paper and, I commend the advocates for all of the painstaking efforts that you make to create that document, all the research, all the meetings, everything that you put into it. I can imagine the amount of time and effort, and you have access to the departments and the council and the mayor's office. My question is, I'd like to know if you can give us examples of the fruits of these efforts. Are you notified? I'm sure they're sitting there going, that is such a great idea. Yes, but are the departments putting things in writing? The budget advocate suggested this, we want to accept this, we want to include it in this letter of recommendation that we present to the mayor. Is the mayor's office reaching out to you saying, you know what, we actually like this idea that you presented? What's the feedback? What's the process so that you have some metric of knowing, the benefit of your efforts?
Yes, I can address that. There used to be a process that the CAO went through our entire list of recommendations and gave us feedback. That was proving to be very, very time consuming and not very useful. Because often what happens is that a recommendation made by budget advocates is actually addressed the year after, 2 years after, 3 years after. A fine example is budget advocates recommended that there be a 4 or 5 year budget, and now people are actually beginning to discuss that. Sometimes it takes a whole amount of time for people to accept our recommendations as their own. And often things that we can't possibly be implemented because there aren't the funds to do it. Like other government entities, look at their actions. Look at what the Budget and Finance Committee actually added to the budget. For instance, a spay and neuter for animal services. And that they may add it the coming fiscal year, or maybe later, or maybe during the middle of the year. The budget is an active entity. It changes all the time. And that's why the financial status reports that come out quarterly are a real clue about what's happening in the city and how their priorities may have changed. Good answer?
I know it's a constant moving thing. It's very static, so it's hard to sort of track, but so at the end of the day, it's hard for you to know, right? That sounds like it's the answer. It's hard for you to know unless you get a firm, hey, 3 years later, we'd like to take this recommendation that you made, but
yeah. And that's not likely to happen. What you're hoping for is that your recommendations become their recommendations.
Or at least they acknowledge your efforts and say, hey, you know what? There's some really good stuff in here. We're actually going to incorporate this. Or just, I don't know, just something to know that your efforts aren't just.
I will tell you that Ben Seha, who is an assistant to the CAO, has actually requested that our reports come out earlier so that they be available to the staff of the CAO, to the entire office when they meet with departments. And Jacob Wexler, in an email I received last week, said essentially the very same thing, that they want to know what we're recommending so that they can go over those things when they meet with the departments about the department's budget requests. And I think there was another question from Tanya.
Actually, let me tack on to your answer to Teresa. So the process that Barbara described from the CAO's office found in a review of our recommendations over a number of years, and this goes back 6 years, so it's definitely dated. but they found that about a third of our recommendation had been implemented over a period of time. Now we can't take credit all by ourselves because some of our recommendations may have overlapped with, say, individual council members pushing something or individual departments. But sometimes we were ahead of the game. We came up, we put the recommendation out there, and maybe it took a few years. But that review over, and I'm not sure if it was 5 or 6 year period, but it was over a number of year period review that they did report. Unfortunately, the CAO does not have the staffing to do that every single year. So, but we do appreciate that they did it back then because it kind of gave us a little benchmark. It'd be nice if they would do it again and bring us up to speed with the most recent 5, 6 year period.
Right.
Tanya, did you have a question or a comment?
Hi, Barbara. Yeah, I did. I put it in the chat a while ago, but so I was at this year's budget day, and we were put into regional breakout rooms, and we were asked to list out community concerns as a group, and we wrote them down on some butcher paper. Glenn answered that those comments were transcribed and were shared with the departmental teams. Thank you, Glenn, for answering that. So follow-up question, what do the departmental teams do with the comments? Or when will they be shared with the teams?
Glenn may have an answer to that. I don't.
Okay, so
Thanks, Glenn.
Yes, so my understanding is that all the 12 reads, some were combined. Those transcriptions have been done. The work of dividing up to assigning to different departments is in process. And keep in mind that some recommendations may actually overlap with several different departments. So we don't want to miss anybody depending on so for example, maybe something about trees. Trees could be planting more trees, but also trees could be damaging sidewalks, which is under public works, under the jurisdiction of street services. There are a number of examples that are multiple departments. So we just want to make sure that we have included those to each of the respective departments of interest. Then those are shared once we establish our departmental teams, which we are doing during this next several weeks that Barbara mentioned. That will be handed over to the respective departmental teams to help them as they meet with the departments in terms of their questions, areas of concern, and to incorporate that input, questions, et cetera, in their meeting with the department, but also their actual report and recommendations going forward. So we try to incorporate that, even if it's a question or a comment, and even if we have diverse opposing comments, we still try to do that because it's sort of hit our radar screen as far as subject matter. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. And Barbara.
Yes. So, Glenn, can you bring up the links page, please?
Okay. And Barb and Connie has her hand up.
Oh, Connie, go ahead. Connie, you need to unmute yourself.
Regarding the tree trimming, I did read something from Rodriguez. It was a motion where she includes the tree trimming of our sidewalks, and she also transferred funding from a certain place to services, sanitation for that, especially for the tree trimming. So I don't know if they looked at our data information that Glenn Bailey was talking about, but there was a lot of activity starting July 1st in terms of writing the city council members, writing transfers memos.
Thank you, Connie. I'd like to ask, I'm not sure I'm saying it right, Maria Moran to introduce herself and give us her neighborhood council. Are you there? Okay, Connie, I'm going to tell which neighborhood council you're from. You're from Echo Park.
Neighborhood Council. Yes, I am, and I'm the treasurer. I'm the elected treasurer for this year.
Thank you. So do we have the links page? Glenn? Well, while Glenn is bringing that up, there's a whole page full of links that maybe after a bit Glenn can put in the chat and you can copy this. These are links. There are several categories: links about neighborhood council budget advocates, links for Los Angeles city government, and links for city budget information. Going back to the top. Here's our budgetadvocates.org link. And if you're really interested, what you'll do is go across the top of the website and click on every tab. There's something interesting under each and every tab. And you'll find, can we get these up? You'll find that the trainings will include this video and maybe in a day or two. And slide presentations that Jacob Wexler will prepare. He does a new one for us every year. Articles and reports from the neighborhood councils and documents, specifically bylaws, and many, many years of white papers. Also, there's contact information. And under the same budgetadvocates.org, there are the white papers. So, here we see that the white papers are from 2011 to 2025 because there was one published in the spring. And then we have links for Los Angeles city government information. lacity.org is a good place to go to for many, many different things. If you click on the city directory, under lacity.org, you'll find listings for elected officials, boards and commissions, departments and bureaus with contact information and the services they provide. Also, you can find on this page council votes, audio visuals of meetings, calendars, and agenda notifications you can subscribe to. Well, on this site, not on that, not on the city directory page. If you scroll down on the city directory page, you will come to the departments. The departments, for each department, you'll have the opportunity to click on the phone, the green phone. The green phone will bring up the roster for the department. On the roster, you will find the executive assistant. Why am I telling you this? And that's because it's the executive assistant who controls the calendars for the general manager and other managers in the department. Clicking on city directory, good. Scrolling down, you have your elected officials, all the council members. And by the way, if we stop for a second, you can email them directly from this orange button, or there's the phone number, the phone over here, which is the roster. And you can see if they have social media sites. Looks like many departments have social media sites, Facebook. And I've not been using the pink and red buttons. I'm not sure what they are. But you can see that you have all the departments here, and their website is right here. It's like the library is lapl.org. Glenn, can you open a department, any department? Ah, very colorful. This is their website. And okay, can we go back and then open their roster, the green phone? What I do when I'm preparing for a meeting with a department is to click on every tab on open every page, and it tells me so much about what the department actually does. But there's another way to learn what the department actually does by looking at its roster, where it assigns its staff. So let's see if we can pull up a roster too. And by the way, staffing is the major expenditure for city departments.
I'm gonna have to start over with the document.
Oh, okay, paying salaries, paying the expanded salary, which includes the cost of the office for the employee, the pensions for the employee, sick time and vacations, the whole package for the employee. So there, as you look at the city budget books, you'll see two figures, one for the salary and the other for the fully loaded position. Oh, okay, let's talk a little about, let's see. We talked about the org chart. We talked, and then we're going to talk about Appendix A, which is an old document. It's a report from the year 2020. It's a 101-page report on Los Angeles. It includes historic information, economic, and demographic information. I'm not sure it's updated though, but it's very interesting.
Okay, so you want the phone directory? Is that what you want?
Yeah, go to lacity.org and click on a green phone, and a roster will come up. And the roster is really important to see who's doing what. It gives you even more clues about what the department is doing. And I have to say, it's really kind of fun to meet with the department that you know little or nothing about, and you get to learn so much. And it's so revealing to look at these websites and the roster. How about, okay, city attorney, green phone. Now, as we know, the city attorney is an elected official. Okay, so we're going to move down all sorts of information. My goodness, we're going to move down to executive management. Under the elected city attorney, we see assistant to the city attorney. I'm assuming that this is the executive assistant. Usually it says executive assistant, but if I were meeting with the city attorney, I'd be doing two things. One, I'd be calling this phone number over here, 213-978-8357, and ask to set up a meeting for the budget advocates. And we're going to have those meetings in late September or early October. And you might add that we're meeting early this year so that we can have, let's say, a greater impact on the considerations when the city departments are developing their budgets. So also, I might want to email. Now, if I were emailing a city employee, I'm going to give you a big clue. if I were emailing a city employee, let's say I was emailing Sheena Paraqueas, what I would do is I would type Sheena dot Paraquelas at lacity.org. Now, if you get a common name like Valerie Flores there might be two Valerie Flores in city employment, in which case we don't really know what her email address might be. So we need to find that out before we, well, if our email failed. We could try valerie.flores@lacity.org, but if it failed, we'd need to find a new city email address. Let's go back to,
Tanya has her hand up.
oh, Tanya, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. Will all the documents that have been showed to us during this meeting be shared with us?
It depends. If you are a budget advocate, you will have all these documents. If you are working alongside budget advocates, you could have access to a Google Doc that would include these pages. If you need these pages, well, actually, Glenn can post these pages right now, if he would, on the chat. And by the way, if you want to copy the chat, you can either highlight it and what you need and control copy, or and then print it on your document with control V as in Victor, or you can copy the entire chat and then pick out those areas that are of interest to you.
So when I finish sharing, I don't have access to chat right now. When I finish sharing, I'll put this 6-page PDF into chat.
Great, thanks.
And there was a link, the organizational chart, someone did put a link into chat for that, so that, and maybe that's even more recent than what we shared. So that's great, thank you.
Yeah, good, thanks.
Okay, sounds great. Yeah, I'm just seeing like a lot of links on these PDFs, so I think it'd just be easier to share the entire PDF so we can access all the links inside it.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we have this 101-page report that I was talking about. And part 2 of it is where the historic, economic, and demographic information appears. It's old information, but the history doesn't much change. So it's a really, really, really interesting thing to read. Now, LA City budget information. The finalized LA City budgets appear only one place, and that is on the controller's website. And you can go to the controller's website and look for budgets, or you can use this link and look for the budget. Oh, here, lacontroller.org/budgets. And also on the controller's website, you'll find the various audits that the controller's office conducts and the reviews that they've done. The city administrative officer's website is where I go for all sorts of budget information. The CAO assists the mayor and the city council in the preparation of the city budget, and the CAO plans and directs the administration of the budget. The CAO conducts studies and investigations, carries out research, and makes recommendations on a wide variety of city management matters for the mayor and the council, the city council. Interestingly, if you go to that, well, the next place is the CAO's budget page. If Glenn, can you go to cao.lacity.org?
So I have to, I have to stop sharing. Yeah, how about, let me try this. Let me try this one and then maybe I can.
Yes, thank you. And that's Matt Szabo. He's the CIO. He has been for a number of years. He came out of the mayor's office where he was the mayor's budget person. Here we have the CIO's website and discusses what the CIO does. If you click,
that's the home page, and you'll see that the budget links are on the home page, but
yeah, budget memos, very important, very important. And we talked about them before. The budget memos will tell you what the departments are asking for specifically. Maybe they got what they were asking for, or maybe they didn't. But also these budget memos are a way to focus what we're going to ask when we meet with departments.
I'm going to go to budget and financial. Okay.
Okay.
Is that specifically dedicated to the budget?
Exactly. Now, you will note, going down to White Book, you will note that 25-26 isn't there yet. And that's because, as we said, that budget will comes out in all the books that back up the budget come out mid-September and not before. So unfortunately, when we do our discussions and when we prepare for meetings with the departments, we don't have the supplement to the adopted budget. The White Book is what I'm always looking at in preparing meetings with the departments. So what I'm suggesting is that let's open the FY 2024-25 Volume 1. And we'll just take a peek there at how it's laid out. Scrolling down. Here we have a table of contents and departmental budget summaries for each of the departments. Let's pick, how about animal services? And go to page 11. Note that Volume 2 continue. Oh, actually, Glenn, if you can stay on this page and go down a bit further after zoo, because zoo is the last department, there are other program costs, and these are the departments that are not funded out of the general fund. So we don't have any say about them. They, by charter, are allocated funds. That is for the library, recreation, and parks. And then the city employees retirement fund and fire and police pension fund have their own funding. Then there are non-departmental schedules. This is very interesting. Things like the Ethics Commission, public matching campaign funds, trust funds, things like leasing. What does the city lease? And is that a good idea, you might ask? We don't know. Liability claims. We're always talking about liability claims. If we have fewer of them and they were less costly, we'd have more money to spend on city services. How about sidewalk repair programs? Oh, interestingly, sewer construction and maintenance fund. That's a huge fund because you know what? Sewers, repairing and replacing sewers costs a lot of money. And we have special parking revenue fund, stormwater, and it's a big fund too. And other supplemental schedules. Homeless budget, that's a big deal. We're always talking about the money that's spent for the homeless budget. And when you open that, you will see that virtually every department has some expenditure that goes towards reducing homelessness. And I think you'll find that very interesting. Also, street improvement, we're always talking about potholes. So let's go down a bit further until we get to animal services, okay?
Unfortunately, I wish there were links, in the table of contents that say you're interested in this department, you click here and it takes you right to that department. Unfortunately, you have to go through 2 volumes and 1,000 pages.
Indeed, indeed. You may get tired of scrolling.
I thought you said page 11, so I'm hoping it'll come up soon.
Position authorities, while you get to that, position authorities, there are regular positions, and then there are the other positions, resolution positions. Regular positions continue in each budget, for each budget year, and are not questioned. Resolution positions are questioned each and every budget year. You'll see when you look at the department's budget that resolution positions, we can go with, let's go to animals. That's a little more complex. You'll see that the resolution positions get wiped out and then they get added back in. And that shows that they're reconsidered each and every year. Okay, here we are, animal services. This is interesting because you look at the 5-year budget history. Look, last year they received a little less money. Maybe every department received a little less money. And then you look at the 5-year position authority. 23, 24, this is actually, last 23, 24 was the height of the number of positions for this 5-year period. And there were fewer positions in 2024, 25. The regular positions were reduced by 16, and the resolution positions were increased by 2. Doesn't mean that those same positions came back. What it does mean is that overall, there were 2 more resolution positions, and the total number of positions remained, became somewhat less. And you'll see the figures are down a little bit further. Summary of 2024-25 adopted budget changes. And then you will see funding distribution by program. And this is really interesting. And if I were meeting with the department for the first time, I'd want to know a little bit more about shelter operations and animal care, because that's where all the money goes, and maybe a little less about community engagement and partnerships. But after all, we're the community, so I think I'd like to know about that too. And then going down a little bit further, main budget items. Oh, can we go up a little? I like to include in reports that I prepare what a couple or maybe all of the main budget items are, and ask ask the department, why is it that they increased, let's say, canine enrichment coordinators? What does that do? I don't know how many there are. That doesn't say how many positions. But maybe there are 2 added positions for the citywide cat program administration. I hope so. I hope they spay and neuter animals so that there doesn't have to be a kill program. So I make certain to discuss these in a team meeting with the department. So Glenn, thank you for that. Can we, I know you're going back and forth, can we, Glenn, go back to links for city budget information? There are a couple more I'd like to talk about. So also on the cio.lacity.org site, there is information regarding annual budget summaries, links to adopted budgets, supplements to adopted budgets, quarterly financial status reports, which we talked about, financial policies, budget and finance committee deliberations, budget memos, and the mayor's proposed budgets since 2003, 2004. Okay, down here on the bottom of the links are two interesting documents. They're old. They're from the year 2014. But you know what? Some of their recommendations remain important recommendations that budget advocates often make. These PDFs were put together, these reports were put together by the 2020 Commission, which included a number of very influential and well-informed city leaders. And they came to a number of conclusions that were troubling about the trajectory of the city budget. So I recommend that you take a look at it and see if perhaps those recommendations are things that you would recommend today. And find a way to include them in what you're doing. Well, do we have another page? I forget, Glenn. After this, it looks like we do. Oh, yeah. These are things, it's kind of a review of what we've already said. You find the roster for the department at lacity.org. You find the website for the department in the city directory, and some websites have an annual report. Some departments publish that report, and some departments do not do an annual report, which they publish. I already said, click on every page of the website and you'll see the scope of the department's work. The white book is what I use all the time. It discusses what each program of the department hopes to do. I find it very informative, and actually I often use what they say. I often use what they say. I'm looking at the chat. I often use what they say in reports that I write. Let's see. The blue book, it describes the mayor's proposed changes to the adopted budget. And the mayor's changes for this year's budget are already there. I think the proposed changes are already there, I think. Whereas the finalized budget changes are only in the white book and in the budget that appears on the controller's website. Budget summaries, we already talked about the budget. Well, we didn't really talk about the budget summary. The budget summary is a small document. It's short, not many pages, and maybe 30 pages or so. And it's small in size. It's not 8.5 by 11, a standard size. It's smaller. And sometimes the department prints these. They used to print all the budget books, but sometimes the department still prints these budget summaries because they summarize various important parts of the budget, the revenue, the departments, the percentage that each department, that the major departments take from the general fund. And then, of course, we mentioned how to find the Budget Advocates white paper. Any questions on the links and where to find stuff?
Question, Barbara. If we wanted to make a copy of these, you know, some of these go 150 pages, 200 pages. And if we wanted to make a copy of the whole booklet, do you think the Department of Empowerment may do it for us, or we can do it ourselves using their copy machine?
I've never asked. And I print, if I'm conducting a meeting, I print every page that I think I may need to refer to. And I put little tabs on those pages that I'm likely to need. I also write up a list of talking points, and that's something that we'll cover in the next session. That includes revenue, staffing, changes that have occurred. This year, it will include what do the cutbacks in revenue and staffing mean for what the various departments do? And you could just print the important pages or print none at all. And I see Monique's hand is up. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, if you check the comments, thanks for a brilliant meeting. It's just hard to follow all of these links without backup at the end of the meeting. So we can view these resources after the meeting.
It's possible that at the continuation of the next meeting. The next meeting may be Jacob Wexler. I'd like to put him before the continuation of this meeting. It's possible at the continuation of this meeting that we'll briefly go over some of the links, especially those that you would be using to prepare for a departmental meeting. Glenn, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I just posted the what we've been just screen sharing, the budget process and calendar. That's our title for this that we just shared. So that's in chat as a PDF. Barbara may get it posted on our website, budgetadvocates.org. But anyway, you've got the PDF there. I did want to say a couple of things to clarify. So when Barbara mentions white book and final budget and all that, just know that when you look at the council file as well as the CAO for the city budget, the proposed budget, that is also known as the white book, the proposed budget. And then when they do the final budget, it's also a white cover. So you may or may not see the words final budget. You may see white, but just know the initial one, the earlier one that's from April 20th, that's the mayor's proposed budget. And then the one that comes out later on
in
September. Yeah, I don't know. It'll probably be dated as of July 1, but it doesn't come out till a couple months later. That's the final. So it's a little bit confusion there. And then the blue books that Barbara was mentioning about the departmental detail, those are basically an extraction of the mayor's proposed budget, going into more detail and also information about the departments. And they're very valuable if you're in a departmental team, as far as some of the scope of what the department does, the actual detailed breakdown, much more than what's in the proposed budget.
Sean, your hand is up.
Yes, this is being recorded, right?
Yes.
Is there any way to get a copy of that? That would probably make it a lot easier. I mean, rather than all the attachments or so forth, so we can review it and go back and forth, and then we'll be able to go where we need to go.
I'm glad you mentioned that. It will be on the Budget Advocates website under trainings.
Is there any way we can just get a link rather than trying to search for it?
It's easy as pie under trainings.
Oh, okay. Okay. And is there a title for this? Is it just
I suspect it will be education/coaching with today's date.
Orientation. Okay. But Neighborhood Council Budget Advocates orientation/education session number 1, today's date.
Okay. Thank you.
And yes, it'll be a Zoom link posted.
Any further questions? Well,
Sorry, if you joined late and you did not put your name in neighborhood council in the chat, that helps us track the attendance. So if you didn't do that, please do that before we conclude. Thank you.
well, we hope that you'll join with budget advocates in meeting with the departments and bureaus. We hope that you'll become involved in our activities. And once again, you can do everything budget advocates do except vote on motions. You can talk to the motion, but budget advocates alone actually vote. So we look forward to working with you. Oh, and by the way, if I know some people work alongside budget advocates actually for a few years. And when the opportunity becomes available, when an opening in a budget advocate position for the region you're in becomes available, you're in the perfect place, if you're working alongside the budget advocates, to be that budget advocate. Oh, and by the way, I think you're still going to get a pin. It's a nice little pin. And it looks like Glenn's City of Los Angeles Budget Advocates, founded 1781. So any further things we should talk about? I think we're ending on time. Oh, wow.
So we don't have the date for the next two sessions yet, but we will make every effort to especially make sure you all, since you attended this, get the communication. But we also just know we do the distribution of budget advocates, budget representatives, and the distribution of all neighborhood council board members. But if you're none of those three, so you're, say, a former board member or no longer, never been on a board, and however you found out about this, we want to make sure we include you on a distribution list. So for those folks who are not board members, not budget reps, or not budget advocates, we do need your name and email address. You can probably direct that to Barbara or to me directly if you wish, or go to the budget advocates website and communicate that, and we'll get you on an additional list.
And I'd like to say that agendas for the budget advocates meetings are posted, sometimes quite late, but I hope they'll be earlier. I hope they'll be like 5 days in advance, but sometimes they're late. So, but have confidence, there will be a meeting the first Monday and the third Saturday. Mondays in the evening, Saturdays in the morning.
Yeah, almost. I mean, we sometimes cancel for various reasons, like scheduling conflicts, but yes, you can definitely count on that. And each meeting agenda lists the date of the upcoming meeting as well. But the actual agenda items, although it's a work in progress, so it's very common, just updated on things. Yes. Again, and if you want to get on that list, if you're not a budget rep, let us know. We can add you to the list to get the agendas.
One more thing, call in user number 1. Would you like to identify yourself and your neighborhood council? Oh, I guess not. Okay. Okay, so this is it.